weed since July. Like that was the last time, and it's only been like 3 times within 8 months. But bro, this is the crazy shit. Like how we be talking, we're on the same wave. I've had the same shit as you. Like the past month, like I'd say 3 weeks ago, I bought into that like THCA. Like how there's like fucking 20 different types of legal weed. I was sitting up here and I started watching too much Joe Rogan, where he's just like, bro, weed's good for you, dude. Weed's like fucking apple in the morning, dog. So I'm like, hmm, hmm, maybe it has been a while. So I order this shit, I get it, and I I'm like, I set aside time. Like I'm disciplined with it now. I've taken the time where it's like, all right, I'm not gonna go back into like day to day smoking. I know that. And I just like take it in the evening and I'm like, maybe I can like make some art with it. No, no, I just go fucking watch a movie for like 3 hours with my grandpa, which I enjoyed the time. I don't even fucking remember it because I was high, but I noticed something weird. And it kind of made me realize like maybe this is what Joe Rogan might be talking about. I don't really think it is because what he talks about is like while you're high. But for me, it was like a mental reset where like the next like 4 or 5 days I was sober, I started like having all of these realizations, and it's kind of led to where I'm now. How was talking to you like a minute ago about the contentment. Like it just brought that like contentment and like balance to me, where I started like realizing certain things. Like, all right, I can stay disciplined with all this shit, but then also just like be be content that I don't need all this shit right now. Cause you remember before, I was like, I was like deep into like the fucking hustle culture shit, which is not healthy for you.
No,
And
I,
then
I was there too,
yeah, and
which
I
falls under
dabbled a
that.
little bit at the Renaissance Fair with our boy, but I won't
Do what?
divulge. I dabbled a little bit with our boy at the Renaissance Fair whenever I went this past weekend, but I won't diverge into that.
How was the Renfest?
Bro, that shit was crazy. There was like 100,000 people there. It seemed. Have you
We
been
were
there before?
no, I've never been. We were supposed to go this year, but the way things panned out.
Hey, you have fun on the farm though. That shit,
Oh, I had
that's
a
good for you.
fucking blast, bro. We shot guns, fucking rode 4 wheelers, fucking. We had a big ass bonfire, and it was just me, Ellie, and her sister and her husband, and bro, they're like they're like the perfect, not the perfect role model, but like they kind of have a similar um like connection with each other and mindset that we have with each other, and they developed that. They've been together for like what 8 9 years, something like that, 8 or 9
Man, that's
years.
pretty good.
And so like when we were hanging out with them, talking to them, we're just like I was just talking to them about like my goals and like my my the idea of financial stability and being able to travel wherever I want, buy whatever I want, not necessarily like in a materialistic mindset, but like I don't want to have to worry about like going out to dinner at a nice restaurant and looking at my bank account to see if I have enough for it, or fucking going to the store buying groceries and having to worry about budgeting. But
Yeah.
like it's just like I don't know. They're on the same wavelength that we're
How
on.
old
Like,
are they?
like 26. They're like 26. They
Okay.
just started their own business. Well, it's not their own. They started. They own a franchise. They own a franchise, a part of a franchise,
Oh
and they
shit.
just opened up the business. They were nurses before this, so I don't know. They just got the same
So
like
they went like the whole school route and then went into the entrepreneurial thing.
yeah. So that's just like that's they started off as servers, and then they once they got finished school and all that, they went to nursing and all that. But they realized they fucking hated it. They realized that like doing that is not conducive to their goals. So they just saved their money. And her sister's husband, uh, he his family has taught him about uh, stocks and bonds and trading since he was a child. So his grandpa that owned the farm that we were at was a millionaire, right? And he instilled into his children, into his grandchildren, to his whole family about bonds and stocks, and like he would invest money into, he would buy stocks and bonds for them and teach them how to trade and all this shit. So that generational wealth thing was very prominent in his family, which I I admire because that's what I want to do with my family. You know, obviously I didn't get that, you didn't get that, but that's where we want. That's what we want to do. We want to create a life for ourselves and for our future generations of people to have that same financial stability. And so just talking to him, and I don't know, it just being there in that moment, talking with him about that, him and her about that, like just help confirm more things for me. Just like, because overall, when you talk to somebody who doesn't have the same mindset, they're gonna try to talk you out of what you're doing. They're gonna try to talk down about it. They're gonna try to steer you away from it because they're not there yet. So I find it very difficult, and I'm sure you do too, to try to talk to these, like, bring up these topics of conversation with individuals who just don't understand the vision. They don't see it. So
No,
like,
I get that for sure. But that's like talking to my grandpa. Like my grandpa and me, we've been close since I was little. He's like practically like my best friend because I live with him and shit. But he's like a plant. He was a plant worker for his whole life. He made good money, but it was always like, fuck what I chase my dreams for. I make money. I got a family to provide for, and that's what he instills. Like if I try to talk to him about like vision and things like that, and like business and entrepreneurship, he's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I'll just be sitting there and I'm just like, bro, I'm just not feeling this job right now. I know there's more. And he's just like, what? Like he just like doesn't even know what I'm like on about. But it definitely is like way more valuable whenever you can get that other perspective and see like firsthand the possibility of that shit.
it's just like it's just like it's wild, bro. Like I was telling you before we like earlier, it's like I have so much faith in myself and the future that I see, that I imagine on it, bro. I'm telling you, this is a every second of the day thing. It's always on my mind. It's always in my heart, you know. And then I have obviously the dialogue of your everyday life, you know, talking with people, conversations, whatever. But in my head, the whole time, I'm thinking about what I want and it's in me, bro. I can't, like, even in the situation that I'm in right now, where, shit, bro, I got no money to my name. Like, I probably got like $20 to my name. Well, actually, we just made a little bit of money. Got like $100 to my name right now, and I'm still not worried about that. It's just like, it's just like, it's like static in my head when I'm in that waiting room. I'm in this like waiting room process of things. Everything's like lining up and connecting, and things are moving for me particularly. But it's hard to to like, it's hard to not conflict yourself and not contradict that thing that you know you have faith in when all your surroundings are telling you otherwise, right? So like your environment, the things happening around you, the circumstances in your life, all these things are, I kind of view them as tests or challenges to overcome, because if you don't, then you're not ready for that thing, that life that you desire, the stuff, the things that you want to do and accomplish. You can't get to that if you can, like, if you fall into that victim mindset, or like, oh, my life's shitty, it's horrible. I did this earlier, bro. I got fed up with things, and I was just like kind of just fed up because life, like I said, bro, life has been weird these past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, since I last talked to you. Fucking, there's been a suicide in the family. Fucking, my step brother, he's fucking going manic. My sister, she's fucking going through some shit, and all this falls on my shoulders. You know, me and her shoulders, because we're the most supportive people in our immediate families. Like, everybody comes to us when there's a problem, because we're emotionally stable enough and we're smart enough to give them advice or listen to them when they need somebody to listen to. But that's not an easy task. That's not an easy like thing to carry, bro. It's not like that's something that's like you gotta like you
It's
gotta
a weird it's a weird feeling being the one being like, well, everybody's gonna have like that like conflicting thought in their head, no matter how stable you are. But to speak on like the emotional stability, even though you don't have like the physical backing to like, you know what I mean? To not have
yeah
like the tangible evidence that you're stable. Like for me, to speak a little bit from my own experience, to look at like the positives with the physical. Whenever
right
I was like 17 and I was like still like almost 300 pounds, right? I'm
right
over there for the first time. I put down video games for a little bit and went to my pawpaw's house near Louisiana, and everything was good. I didn't have a single vision for the future, bro. I didn't. I remember like I didn't have a job in high school. I just kind of sold drugs to like get by and shit like that, to have a little bit of money in my pocket. So I never had like a work ethic or anything. Like my only thought forward was like smoking weed, like hedonism, just like finding ways to feel like all right in the moment. And I'm 17 and I'm over here on my pawpaws, and I wake up one morning and I'm just like, I just had one day this disease just like pops up where my health just like plummets, and I'm just like, it's out of nowhere. I just start crying. I'm like breaking down. I'm fucked up, bro. I literally just start feeling like a freak out of nowhere. Like my whole teenage years, like I was fat, of course, and that always weighed on me. But I could always smoke and make my problems go away. But all of a sudden, I have this like very tangible thing that I can see on my body that makes me feel like a fucking freak. And I have to go through like a whole senior year of high school dealing with this shit, learning how to deal with my disease, which I don't know. I'm comfortable with it, but I don't want to diverge too much on the podcast about it. I think you know what I'm talking about.
yeah
Where it's like it was really like the craziest shit for me. But looking back now, I'm so glad it happened, that disease, because all the shit I've bettered myself with has came from that like absolute low point. Like I'm talking about like year and a half. I would to like manage this disease. I would have to like go through band-aids and just like I don't really want to diverge too much shit, but it's just like I was like borderline suicidal for a little bit because I didn't know how to deal with this shit, and it drove me to the point of like developing a work ethic, di- like researching new possibilities for life. I went down all these different rabbit holes and shit, but now it's like I actually have this vision, this emotional stability built from that moment. And without that event happening, even though it was like a long span of time, and I still deal with it from time to time, it's like one of the main factors that completely changed my direction.
right
And for me, I just it really like gave me the lesson of being grateful for like even like the worst possible situations in my life. Is like time does heal. Like time heals even like the craziest things. I remember whenever I lost like the family member who I was the closest a year before this. Like now I still get sad about it sometimes, but time did heal it. So as long as you keep that faith and that like that hope in you, then that shit definitely all the all the things just fall into place mentally and in the physical. As long as you can maintain that, then it really just all works out. Like right now I'm kind of going through a little bit of like a financial thing as well as time. Like where I'm at right now, I find myself being kind of comfortable. Like my only problems are like kind of things I create in my own head or like investing too much money into myself or it kind of makes me stress a little bit. But I mean, I have a place to live. I'm not like you. I've seen what you've been through with like kind of having to do bounce from place to place. I don't have that problem, but I have like a time limiting problem where I live with my grandpa and like he is like fucking in his late 70s. So that is
Right.
something that I have to like think about day to day. But I don't know. I just kind of have the faith deep down that everything will work out.
Yeah. That's how I'm on the same page. It's just like I don't know. It's just really strange that I can feel it. Like I can feel it. It's so close. I can feel how close I am to what I want. You know what I mean? Like I I I don't know. Like I can feel it, but I can't see it. You know? I I see me like slowly progressing on the guitar at my pace, which is great. You know, I'm not expecting to learn how to fucking make a masterpiece song right now. That's not I know that's going to take time to learn to train my ear and learn to put the things in my head to the physical. That's cool. I understand that. And I understand that I'm not going to be instantly like just successful. You know, it's going to be a series of progression that leads me to the success that I desire. It's just like when nothing happens for 3 weeks, you know, you start to battle with yourself really hard. You start to like think about like, bro, what am I doing here? You know, like why am I still where I'm at? You know, and then I start to like think about like all the choices that I made in the past 3 weeks, and it's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have been smoking weed. But if I had an opportunity to do something else, then I probably wouldn't have done it, you know? But I don't I'm not too hard on myself for for little slip ups like that because in those 3 weeks I still played guitar, you know? I was still aware of what I was doing. I was still conscious and making choices outside of that that were still conducive to my goals. But I wasn't writing, I wasn't reading, you know, I wasn't meditating or manifesting on that thing that I want for those 3 weeks. And then, bro, it was the craziest thing. It was 2 days ago, right? I came, so we're dog sitting for her brother and his girlfriend because she has a lot of siblings. So we dog sitting for her brother and his girlfriend in Kima at their apartment. And we came back down here 2 days ago for some reason, forgot what, back to Galveston. And I went and I went and hit the bong and I knew I wasn't supposed to. It was my sister smokes, that's why like I had access to it. She has like weed in her room and shit. So I was like, fuck it, you know, like whatever, I'm gonna go. And I did it. And I swear, bro, I got the sourest fucking feeling ever. It was like crazy. I I come out of her room, I walk into the living room, and I'm like bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like my the being that I've become was like swallowed my old self that was used to doing those, like falling under those bad habits. Like the old Devin would smoke weed all the time, right? But this new person that I've become that doesn't resonate with me, right? So that rationality, the rational part of me came out, and I was talking out loud to myself. I was like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, this is not going to get you anywhere you want to go. This temporary um, this temporary feeling or this instant gratification isn't doing anything for you, you know. And it's one, it will put me in jail because of the circumstances that I'm under. But regardless of probation, it's still not healthy for me or my mental state, you know. Like once a while for recreational use, cool, but smoking in the morning and the afternoon and at nighttime, definitely not a vibe for me. It just don't work. It shuts down all of my creativity. It shuts down all of my critical thinking. It shuts down all the decision making in my head, all the processing. It shuts all that down. It puts a fucking cloud over it. And then I just fucking do nothing. I just sit there and I'm high. I'm like, why? You know, so I told myself not doing that again. Like, not because I'm withholding it from myself, but because I don't want to do it anymore. Like, that's like part of like addiction. Like, what addiction is like, and I've struggled with this where I'll try to with like I'll try to.
You don't have, you don't have the desire in there, but every once in a while you have that little hiccup, and then it like eats at you a little bit. Nah, the craziest shit, cause like, how old are you? You're 21, and we're like, I think we're just like a year apart, cause my birthday's in February, and I turned 21. But since I've been 17, which really sparked my like what I would call like an awakening towards something where I have like a desire and I start recognizing all these little things I do as negative towards my desire, my ultimate goal. I've consistently through that period have these little bouts of like stagnation. And it's so, for me, it's all each part like really like manifested them into the physical, like more than just being like, bro, what are you doing? Like for me, going back to whenever I first started like being disciplined, the first time I was ever disciplined for like a long stint of time was like 2021. I came over here in like September and I stayed here for 3 months. I went completely sober for the first time in like 5 or 6 years, from weed, from alcohol, from pornography, from all these like vices that I was heavily attached to. And I remember I went back home, like I got homesick from all my friends, and I went back there and I was over at Jacob's house and they brought out this fucking like Puffco Peak dab rig, and it like immediately sparked my interest. I was like, holy shit. I remember wanting one of these whenever I was like heavily addicted, and I was like, oh, it couldn't hurt. And like I had this 3 month period of like almost where I'm at now worth of discipline where it's like, all right, nothing. Just cold sober towards a goal. At that time, one of my goals was like I was really deep into like the fucking like red pill shit. And I just wanted to like be disciplined, start a business, but just sleep around a bunch. That was like my goal, which looking back is crazy. So I go back home, and that one night at Jacob's house made me smoke weed, and I started smoking weed every day, and I just started running this like fucking gauntlet on Tinder, where I was just like meeting up with people I had no fucking connection with, and it all manifested itself into the physical. And one day I met with one person. It was like the easiest fucking encounter I ever had in like a movie theater, like the most fucking degenerate shit you could imagine, bro. And I remember I went back home and I just like sat in my room for like, it was like 3 a.m. I went and picked up fucking, I like slept with this girl, and I picked up one of my friends. It was Jeffrey. I picked that motherfucker up. We went to Denny's and just like pigged out on like fucking like $40 worth of just like bullshit food. And I went back home. I'm like fucking just feeling so bad. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? And then I kept having like ups and downs of like a month or two of discipline. I'd go to the gym, month or two of fucking bullshit, go to the gym. And then that manifested all the way until December of that year, where for like, oh, I was on the up. I was on the up again, but then I just started falling back down and my car got stolen. And then I just went all the way. And then I went all the way down for about a month until I met Zane. I got my car back. God just like fucking blessed me somehow, and my car was just back after all this shit. And I start working with Zane. I'm going, getting money, evicted from the fucking house out of nowhere. 3 months later, just fucking evicted. Then I have to move back. Then I start going back on the up. I start finding the music. I buy this fucking keyboard. I'm living in a house with 8 other people in a fucking 3-bedroom house. I'm going. And then a bunch of shit happens with like my dad's grandmother who lives on the property with us. I move in, I help her. She's like falling down at like, I'm coming home from work, picking her up from the ground. Her face is bloody and all this shit. Just like crazy shit. And then they put her in a home, and I just have like a place of my own. Like I just stayed down there. They allowed me to stay in this house because there was 8 of them up there, and they were like, all right, it'll free up some room. You just stay down here. I was staying there to help her. Then they put her in a home, and I was alone. I was alone with fucking 8 bottles of alcohol. Straight down again. Straight fucking down again. I remember I would take a cup like this big of a cup. I would pour like 6 shots of vodka in it and fill it up with water and suck it down with a straw and just sit there like a fucking vegetable. Just like, and like this is like the saddest shit. Cause like I was watching these videos about like how to become a film director. I had given up the music, and I'd started another spark. I found another spark again of like making YouTube videos. And that was whenever I made that like alcohol video. Whereas like the red wine, I'm dancing with that shit. But I didn't grab onto it enough. I didn't give up my other thing. And I just allowed myself to diverge further into alcohol. And it was like very sporadic with my dream that I had. And that was like the longest stint I've ever had of like fucking just like, I didn't know what I was doing, bro. I was doing DoorDash. I was making like fucking $20 a day. I was like fucking, I also was dealing with my disease at the time. So I remember, this is like, I'll fucking tell some fucking dirt about myself. I stole Band-Aids. I stole fucking Band-Aids to like help myself with my disease. Cause I had to use the fucking Band-Aids cause it was a part of like what my disease is. And I didn't connect the dots that my fucking disease is because of all this fucking toxic shit I'm putting into my body, killing my immune system. And then finally, it culminates where I like get in a fucking car accident and total my car that I had been gifted from like the universe back. And then it was taken away. it was taken away. And then I moved over here, and that was in like February of this year. And it took me like 2 months of like drinking beer every day with my grandpa and just like watching movies, no direction. And then I found my boss and my uncle, and all these elements collaborated together where it's just like, it's not the perfect job, but it's like the best I could probably ask for, because it's like one on one. Like, I don't know, I'm not gonna get into all that, but it's just a pretty good thing, good enough for me to like do what I'm doing now to get me to this point. And it took 2 months after working with him where I finally decided in May I went sober. I have not touched alcohol since May. I've had a couple ups and downs with the weed, but really, and a couple up and downs with like other addictions, where now my only like real bad things are like my mind. My only bad things are like thoughts like my grandpa passing away. I don't even want to put that into fucking thought, but like that's something that I struggle with. And like if I think about it long enough, it'll almost bring me to fucking tears because I'm that close to him. But it's like, I don't know. I finally feel like I'm kind of clear minded with this shit, and it's like the longest bout of consistency. And like the only thing that really brings me out of like doing it is whenever I start overcomplicating things. But I told you about how like the weed, I smoked weed like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and like that a couple days afterwards, I haven't really experienced any like true angst. I haven't experienced any true like, oh, I don't have it yet. What can I do? I got to like do all these different things to like make sure I have it. I got to do all these different things. I got to fucking start drop shipping and all this fucking stupid shit. It's like all that is kind of like melted away since then. And for the first time in this 3 year period, I actually have true contentment and balance, but also discipline.